dear audience, very nice to be here, and it's excellent to see so many people in such a small country coming to listen today's topic, which is reliable eco-energy sources. I come from far north, from Finland. I live in Helsinki, and I'm there heading the international secretariat for the new EKOenergija network and EKOenergija label. My name is Riku Eskelinen, and I will tell you, this is the content of the presentation. So I will be actually focusing on electricity products. And with electricity products, I mean the agreement between the final consumer of electricity and a supplier of electricity. I will speak a little bit about the label and the network, and then I tell a little bit about the details of the label. There are four important topics, which are the how we think that a good electricity product should be tracked, the origin, what kind of additionality, with additionality I mean what kind of a change your purchase make. If I choose a green electricity product, I suppose that it affects positively in the environment. How does it happen? Then about the sustainability of renewables. And the last thing also, the environmental fund, what we are having is also related to the sustainability issues. So first of all, EKOenergija is a brand new network of European NGOs. In Slovenia, Slovenski e-Forum is our member NGO here. So we are working with the Goran Zmarinček here. We have members in different parts of Europe, even one member in Georgia, but then also many members in the western and northern part of Europe. The secretariat is located in Helsinki, and the most important tool of this network is this eco-label for electricity. And with an eco-label, I mean a symbol, a certificate, how you want to call it, which shows to the final consumer the best available green electricity products in different countries. I'm actually here in Slovenia now to also to help to get this kind of electricity sales to started also here. So we set criteria. Actually, this is also a good list if you want to remember four things of how to identify a good electricity product. You should think about these four topics. First of all, the consumer information. It's very important the final consumer of electricity gets correct information where the electricity comes from and how does the purchase affects in the electricity production. What is the reality? Then it's very important that an electricity product, if you claim that it's renewables or that you claim that it's solar power or wind power product, that it's tracked properly. It's also important if you claim that something is green or sustainable, it's not always enough that it's renewables. There are also big differences between different renewables, so it's important to set some kind of sustainability criteria. And then again, this additionality, so that's also very important, what we also set criteria. What happens because of my purchase? So we started 2009. There has been actually different kind of eco-labels for electricity agreements in liberalized electricity markets. The first ones were in Finland and Sweden, 1998, when were the first eco-labels for electricity launched, but they have been always only local. And the problem of this kind of local electricity labels have been that, for instance, if they have set strict sustainability criteria for certain renewables, so then it has become just only, if the labels are only local, it has become more profitable for suppliers not to probably change the way how they produce electricity, but just simply to sell the electricity to those countries where there is no sustainability criteria. If being sustainable becomes more expensive, so then it's just better to sell it to somewhere where you don't have sustainability criteria. So it's important to have some kind of like a common European standard for this. It's also one of the reasons why we wanted to create an international eco-label for electricity products was that there are also big companies we had discussions with IKEA or Sony, which have a lot of offices and premises, electricity consumption in different countries. And they wanted to have, on the corporate level, some kind of a strategy how they buy electricity in different countries. And for them, it was very difficult to identify like good electricity products in different countries, because in some country you sell this. In Finland we saw there was a EKOenergija, now you have in Slovenia there is a Blue Energy and things like that, and they don't always match, they are not the same. So for big this kind of international consumers it was also important to get this kind of an eco-label. So we actually interviewed over 400 different environmental NGOs, hundreds of producers and suppliers of electricity, and also authorities. And we asked all of them what kind of a power agreement you can call eco-labeled. What is a green power product? And as a result, one of the important results was actually that also many industry representatives told that this kind of an eco-label should be run and managed solely by NGOs, environmental NGOs. So then it's totally independent from the industry. So the industry is not setting rules for themselves, but there is a third party. And if it's environmental NGOs, so then you can consider that then it's even more strict. And we launched this management structure in the end of 2012. And the new label and the new criteria for the label were launched last year, February 2013. The criteria in a simple way, first of all, maybe about this tracking. So I don't know if all of, like the concept is quite new, how you track electricity, origin of the electricity on the liberalized markets in Europe, so I will explain it a little bit. In Europe, nowadays, the electricity trades of renewable electricity are made in two different parts. You sell the physical power separately from the origin. And if you are a producer, you can ask from your government for a certificate. When you have produced 1 megawatt hour of wind power, for instance, you can get a certificate, which you can imagine being like a small paper, which tells that you own 1 megawatt hour of wind power, and it tells the name where the wind power came from, and other kind of information about the power station. And this certificate you can sell to your friend, or to a trader, to a broker, or to a supplier, which then can sell it to the final consumer. And when the final consumer consumes the electricity, this certificate is cancelled, so that it cannot be used again. This kind of a system exists because it's impossible to track the electrons. Once you feed the electricity to the grid, it's gone, and you don't find it anymore. So the ownership goes with a different market of certificates. And according to our research, this kind of a system is needed, even though there was a lot of criticism. So we believe, environmental NGOs in Europe, that this kind of a system is important infrastructure of the electricity markets. And if you don't have such a system existing, forget about green power sales to the final consumers. Then it cannot be reliable. But this kind of a system alone cannot provide positive environmental impacts. So it's only a tracking mechanism. So what we say about the tracking is that you have to use the European guarantees of origin system to claim anything about the origin of the electricity. That's what it says in our criteria. The criteria text itself you can find on our website, EKOenergija.org, and there is a lot more details about this. Then about the additionality. That was a very difficult discussion with this long consultation round. So what we asked there, and a lot of people asked during the consultation round, that does a green power purchase really lead to new renewable electricity production? the green power markets in Europe have been dominated by Norwegian hydropower, which is already quite profitable. Actually, 70% of all the power traded within the last years has been Norwegian hydro. And then there is a lot of people who just criticize that, okay, I can buy this green power, but then it just means that the profits of the Norwegian hydropower producer raise, and then nothing else. It doesn't result in new renewable electricity production. And this was a difficult discussion. Finally, we ended up with the solution where we say that the supplier of the electricity, of the green power, must invest a certain amount of money into a separate fund, which is not managed by the company, but by a third party. And this fund invests then again in new renewables. Okay, then the next question is how much money you have to put there. So this is another big discussion because it can raise the price of the final electricity a lot if you set it high. But then if you don't set it high, so then the additionality, how much you get new renewables is very low. But we ended up with a practical solution to set up a minimum price, that there is at least a little bit of the money going from your electricity bill is invested again in new renewables. And that's a minimum amount. And that's the 10 cents per megawatt hour. We made last summer the first call for projects. We got 130 applications from 70 different countries, even including 3 projects in North Korea. But we are not going to fund them, but they were not the best projects, and it's a little bit risky country also. So we will probably open also this kind of calls later on. Actually, the first projects will be in Tanzania, what we are going to fund. But it's possible also to fund inside Europe. Then about the sustainability criteria, we said also sustainability criteria, as I told, it's a very different thing to think about, for instance, solar power on roof of a factory here in Slovenia. If you compare the sustainability of that to palm oil imports from Indonesia to here, both can get these guarantees of origin, and both the electricity produced in both ways can be sold to final consumers as green power. But according to our criteria, you cannot sell this palm oil electricity, which was imported from Indonesia. You cannot sell that as EKOenergija labeled electricity. There is also like questions of, for instance, about the sustainability of hydropower. For instance, a hydropower station with fish passes is of course better than without fish passes if there is a need for fish migration and things like that. So this is why we set different kinds of sustainability criteria. For instance, for wind power, we say that wind power is always eco-energy unless it's located in important bird areas or Natura 2000 areas or UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And this is for everything. Also for bioenergies may be interesting, we set also energy efficiency criteria, that the bioenergy is used as energy efficient as possible. So we favor combined heat and power, CHP, and we set there also some efficiency criteria. Then for hydropower, we have, there was the other fund, was the additionality fund or the climate fund, but on top of that, also for hydropower, there is a separate environmental fund where a supplier or a seller of EKOenergija hydropower invests a minimum of 10 cents per megawatt hour. This has been piloted before the project started and before we launched that. We piloted with 700,000 euros in Finland, and it was a good experience. We got quite nice river restoration projects, and also we researched, for instance, how the fish passes in hydropower stations are working, and we got a lot of important information and a lot of high quality research on that. So if we start here in Slovenia, I don't know yet which Slovenian suppliers would begin to sell EKOenergija labeled electricity, or are they interested in to sell? I will have some negotiations here. But if this kind of sales begin in Slovenia, so it would be also nice to get some ideas from you, probably how money from this kind of an environmental fund should be used here in Slovenia, probably. that's it. I think I'm in timetable over.
Thank you very much.